Last December 31st, like in so many places around the world, people in Japan said goodbye to 2025 and welcomed the start of a new year. And even though the celebrations may be a bit more subdued than in other countries, it is still a big deal with fairly ritualized activities like a temple visit and special decorations and reunions and celebrations. If you are in Japan during this time, you will definitely notice it. And that could be a very interesting topic for a video in and of itself, but that's not today's video. Today we're going to talk about another New Year's celebration, one that is much more discreet, especially nowadays in the modern times, and that often goes unnoticed, but not forgotten. We're talking about Women's New Year. So Women's New Year, also known as the Small New Year, in contrast with the Big New Year that we all know and celebrate on January 1st, usually lands about 2 weeks after the big celebrations of New Year. So it could be on January 14th, 15th, or 16th, depending on the region. And it was very common in farming communities because it served two purposes. The first one was to pray for good crops. And the other purpose was to show gratitude to the ladies in the community who, since the end of the previous year, have been busy hosting and meal prepping and preparing for the celebrations of New Year that usually, lasted a couple weeks. You received a lot of guests, family members, lots of reunions, and lots of food to prepare. So right about 2 weeks into the new year is when all that would die down. Most people have packed up their New Year decorations and, you can go back to some sort of normalcy. And that's when women had a chance to wind down, relax a bit, and spend some quality time with the other ladies in the community. So just like the big New Year, the Little New Year, the Small New Year, also had some specific rituals and celebrations, but it varied greatly region by region and even sometimes family by family. Sometimes you would see bonfires, usually made with the decorations that were used in the New Year celebration. You would also have mochi, dango, some sort of food and breaking bread together. Thankfully, a lot of the cultural aspects and little traditions have been documented and preserved, and sometimes still celebrated to this day. And that's what I'm hoping to show you in this video. Because at the beginning of January, I met up with a group of people in central Saitama who perpetuate this Women's New Year and keep the tradition alive. So hopefully this video will be a first-hand account of what that looks like, but it is not pretending to be the complete guide of everything that could be done for Women's New Year. It's just one example, very specific to silk farms from central Saitama. Silk farming used to be a big business in the area up until the 1950s, where a lot of these farms declined. There were thousands of them, but a lot of them either closed down or were converted to some other crop. For example, silkworms were replaced often by green tea, the famous Sayama tea, for example. And of course, a lot of land was developed to make way for cities and urbanization, especially in the 50s, 60s, when Japan was rebuilding. Thankfully, this old farm was not destroyed. It is still preserved, and that's where we will be working today. Like many farms, this one has its own mini shrine on the premises. You can see a lot of these in the countryside, and the donations are not always coins or alcohol like in you know, the farms you find in the cities. Sometimes it's just, you know, the local crops. These foxes received a bunch of yuzu, for example. The shrine in the farm we were at still had some New Year's decoration on it, but a lot of it had already been taken down to start a fire for what we were about to grill, which was the New Year's dango. Dango, if you don't know, it's a kind of Japanese rice cake. It's kind of like the mochi, but it's different. And usually both are associated with New Year celebration. They can be sweet or salty, or you can eat them with anko, which is like a sweet red bean paste, or dip them in soy sauce, which is what we did. But yeah, anyway, it's a pretty traditional food everywhere in Japan. So yeah, dango, they're pretty standard for New Year's celebration in Japan. But what was different about this silk farm is how they used the dango. They skewered it on a tree. So, okay, let's show you how you prepare the dangos. First, I get my apron and head cover. No, I did not choose that outfit, but the Totoro design will be relevant in another video. And it's pretty simple. You just mix rice flour with hot water, apply a bit of elbow grease, shape them into balls, grill them, and voila. You've got yourself a treat that you can dip in sweet syrup or soy sauce of your choice. The farm we were in had a fireplace inside, but we did not get to use it. Like I said, these guys had already used the New Year's decoration to start a barbecue outside, while the rest of us was playing inside with our balls. Okay, so I'm mentioning this fireplace to see if you noticed the same thing I did. So the thing that struck me as different here is that above the fireplace, there's no chimney, there's no vent, there's no place for the smoke to escape. So I was a bit confused by it, but lucky for me, there was a nice 82-year-old Oji-san who had all the answers to my questions. Turns out that back in the day, people did not care that much about smoke. They just let smoke be. That's why actually the ceiling is often very dark, even black in some old farms and old houses like that. And apparently people didn't mind that much because it helped to prevent insect infestations. So like little bugs wouldn't make a home in the carpentry if you smoke them out. So like I said, we didn't use the fireplace, but we had an electric stove where we cooked our soup and grilled some oranges. They smelled so good. I wish I could have a smell with the video because that's a good memory. Speaking of oranges, they were there for a reason, and I'll show you. As you can see, they were used to decorate the tree, so just ignore the giant Totoro. This is a pretty common kind of decoration in Japan. It's called a dango tree, and it would, you know, I guess look like cotton balls on the tree. But in this particular area, the tradition was to also include oranges. So that was the first time that I saw that, which is not that surprising, but my wife, who grew up in Japan, also had never seen a tree like that, so that's pretty cool. We also had this wooden spiky log, had 16 prongs on it, and the reason for that is that it was also used to skewer mochi on it, and the 16 prongs would be, you know, symbolic of the first 16 days of the year, and it was meant to be used as a decoration alongside the tree. So the dango that we skewered onto the log was not meant to be eaten. It wasn't even cooked. We just put it there as a decoration, and traditionally that was to receive blessings and good crops for the new year. There we go, short video about this cool little tradition. And I know not a lot of people watch these videos, so this is a shot in the dark, but I absolutely love all these, little unknown or lesser known traditions, places, and things like that. So if you happen to stumble upon this video and you know of cool places or cool lesser known traditions in Japan especially, I'd love to hear from you. All right, take care.